while we're flying, I'm going to send the text, like, right away.
Okay.
So I can send the text and say, hey, I need to do XYZ to, couple of the spellcasters that are known. Yeah, we'll send the text, and then maybe do some research on my own as well to see if I can figure some stuff out. Because, again, as you said, there isn't anything. But in the end, if I have to pay, I gotta pay.
Okay.
But she's not going to be avoiding any one option. She's just going to try them all.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you mention that you're gonna go see one of the scabs to Amber, she's not gonna want any part of it because she is very much pro-union, pro all that. We just got this. I don't want to break it already, kind of thing.
I will say that of the two of you, Amber's the one with the best chance of actually getting in touch with any member of the scabs. Because of the journalism skill. The journalism skill is all about knowing who to talk to get the thing that you need or want. So just saying. But how about this? So you're going to send a text out to like the Vigilantes Union global chat. Because that's a thing. It's a Slack channel, I'm sure. Or a Discord type thing. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a card from my deck. And I'm going to consult the aura, the event, just the card in general to see whether or not this goes well for you.
Yep.
Okay, so it is a Doom card, but it is a positive card. So I'm going to say that the positive aura means you do get in touch with somebody. The Doom card is going to throw a little bit of a wrinkle into it. And actually, I know exactly what it's going to be. Okay, so there were two possibles that would get back to you. The one that's going to get back to you is, so she is a member of Vigilantes Union Local 7 out of Chicago. Her code name is Prestige. And she is, she's kind of got a foot in that realm. Yeah, so she'll respond back with a like, oh, you need something magic, huh? What's up?
I'll explain. We're going up against a guy called the Theurge, the Grand Theurge, the High Theurge, etc., who has gotten their hands on some Atlantean and some Amazonian stuff, and the blood of our beefsteak. She can't call you beefcake. She doesn't know what else to say because honey cake seems wrong. So she's to get our beat stick, right? Our beat stick. And we're not sure what he's throwing at us that might hurt us. So we need some kind of we may need some kind of protection spell.
Oh, yeah. Like, protection spells are always a good idea when you're dealing with anything like this. I can shoot you over something as long as you can perform it on your own, because I can't come out to Portland.
Yeah, sure.
All right. And a few minutes later, she'll private message you a document that has like kind of a step-by-step thing with like a little diagram and yada yada yada.
Okay.
So yeah. That seems like it worked out pretty well for you. No problems. You got it first try.
As I said, though, she's also going to research it because she is going to research it.
Okay. Amber, what are you doing during all this?
So after dropping Ghost off, she's probably going to get her clothes back, go back into civilian mode, head back to work, actually, to type up her notes. And if, what's her name? Eliza asks, how everything's going. Oh yes, no, I'm working on an article that was, my ride along with a superhero, and and basically, uh, when she has some time to herself, she's also going to do some research on this Theurge, see if there are any records that she can find in the normal, mundane press, but also she's going to essentially look for his picture anywhere, because she saw what he actually looks like, and she's kind of hoping that he's not in disguise all the time.
Okay. Okay.
Why do I feel like a microfinch is now involved in the Portent's basement?
Yeah. That she has to pause every so often because when you do lightning speed with microfiche, it heats up really badly.
You do not want to melt those microfiche. Your boss would be so mad at you.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, give me... so I'm going to need an intellect action from both of you. For Amber, your journalism skill will apply fully, because you're looking through old articles and things like that. It's kind of what you do. For Ghost, your mythology skill is going to basically... It's going to give you, like, half effect, essentially. It's not a full skill for the purpose of this, because that would be the occult skill. But mythology is so close, I'm willing to give you a little bit of a boost on that. So basically, it'll knock 2 points off the difficulty instead of the standard 4. So yeah, whoever wants to go first.
Well, I'm playing a 7 of intellect there, and which gives me a total of 11, plus I get to draw another card.
So actually, purple is for willpower, journalism is intellect, yeah.
Okay, I couldn't see who that was there.
It's Doctor Strange, sorry.
Okay, so I'm sorry, you can get rid of that 6 then.
Actually, that can just be the card you draw back to replace the 7.
Fair enough then. So 11 is my total.
All right, so an 11, not the...
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I will tell you what you find out here in a moment. Ghost, if you wouldn't mind giving me an intellect action as well.
I'll play that one.
Okay.
And that lets me draw that one.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
And that one on top of it. Plus my 5 of intellect. So that's 10.
24?
24.
Okay. All right, yeah. Well, fine. So here's basically what happens. Sorry, I'm just fixing something real quick about the... So, I'll start with Amber, because you played the card first. Amber, you go through, like... You put a pretty good amount of effort into trying to figure out what's, anything about this Theurge guy. There are some old photographs of him from, almost like these weird, sort of combination snake oil pitch and, stage magic shows from, way back in the early part of the 1900s, like the 1920s, 1930s, that era, right around there. He is always wearing some sort of a mask or some sort of kind of elaborate costume that sort of hides his visage. The only exception is there is one picture where he is being arrested, and he is mostly kind of covering his face. And this is from this is actually later. This is the 60s. But he seems like he's basically the same age he was in the earlier pictures. And so he's mostly covering his face, but you kind of see like most of his features. It's not perfect, but it's the best thing you find.
All right. I will
Um,
definitely take that out along with the other articles.
absolutely. Ghost. So you're kind of researching into like magical charms and sort of like wards and things like that. Obviously, there's a lot of garbage out there on the internet.
Yeah.
And you're pretty sure that what Prestige sent you isn't gonna work. It's so it has all the basic necessities of like what you would need to do this, but it is very like it's one of those like placebo like magical charms. It's like it's meant to like the confidence was in you all along type of thing. Like it's meant to kind of like make you feel better about yourself and be like, oh, I've got this extra little like bit of this extra oomph to help me get through this, rather than provide any actual enchantment or anything like that.
Which is why you never trust a single source when writing things in history. Which is why she kept researching.
Honestly, it might actually have worked on Amber just because she believes things so hard.
That's true. I mean, this is definitely one of those things where after you're like, oh, okay, this clearly... You're like, well, but actually, maybe it would have worked if I wasn't so skeptical. Maybe belief is what would have made it work. That's a whole philosophical discussion for another day. But
Ghost is not it. Ghost is like, I need multiple sources. It's how research works. Have to be able to cite at least 3 people that have the same conclusion. One was not sufficient for her, the way she's trained.
now, you're pretty sure that this basis would be useful if it was enacted by somebody with actual magical talent. But for like a lay person...
Do I even have magical talent? Beats the hell out of me.
You'd have to try it.
Yeah. She'll try it.
Okay. So that is going to be a willpower action.
Don't have one of those, sadly.
Now, you can always do a Hail Mary. You get one of those per story.
You know what? She'll try. I'm going to Hail Mary, because that does sound like...
Yeah, it's a matter of faith.
This is, right?
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
exactly.
a Hail Mary.
Okay.
Int card, but it is... Not, it is better than 2 of my other cards, so...
That's true. All right.
That comes to, on a willpower action, that's a 13.
Don't you get to play another card in addition to the Hail Mary? Or
No, so that's when you're pushing.
oh, that's when you're pushing.
Now, you can, if you want to, you can push this and play a card and then not draw it back. And that would leave you down a card whenever you get into whatever situation you're going to be walking into.
No. No. She's going to go with this. She has no idea if she has magical talent, but she's learning.
Okay, yeah, I know what I'm going to do with this. I'm not going to tell you, but I know what I'm going to do with this.
Okay. Oh, poor Ghost. She's just gonna get herself in trouble. She does make attempt to she's making 2 of them, by the way, just to be clear. One for herself and one for Amber.
Okay. Duly noted. All right. So, anything else that that the 2 of you are doing? That's probably going to take you. Those 2 things probably take you most of the evening / next morning to kind of like really make any headway into.
Before I get too far into, well, actually, after I finish my research, I am going to call Mom and see if any of her government contacts know anything about this Aurge, because Mom knows everything. So
All right.
So I have a question, and it's not related to the story, but it's important for me, for my edification. I imagine all of you have like your own individual kind of workspace with an adjoining smaller like relaxation space. In my mind, Dr. Scott's probably has a lot of like bean bags and things like that, but maybe I'm wrong. What do your respective like relaxation spaces look like?
I think there's like a big sound system.
Okay.
That's very important. Although there are headphones, because sometimes other people using the facilities complain about Dr. Scott's music being too loud or whatever.
That's probably one of the only times Dr. Scott is not surrounded by possums is when she's like listening to her sound system really loudly. They probably scatter.
Obviously, the lab rules are probably no smoking, but there's like a conspicuous industrial fan with ducting, like that sort of hangs over it as well.
It's like a fume hood, but just for her to smoke.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Mine would probably be. It looked very similar to the PI office, like desk, comfortable chair, computer, maybe a couch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Very utilitarian.
So what you're saying is KJ doesn't relax, really.
He relaxes by reading
Okay.
crime report.
Right. I find this very relaxing. Is that an autopsy report? It is, yeah.
You know, you take after your dad so much. I know that's not what you want to hear right now, but it's true.
All right. Yeah, you arrive at the building. You take the stairs. You arrive early enough to account for having to take the stairs.
Dr. Scott's cursing and puffing and wheezing the whole way up.
I think one of the skills that Dr. Scott needs to pick up at some point is the climbing skill, just to represent, like, getting a little bit more comfortable with scaling things, the claws and the tail and all that stuff. But that's, neither here nor there.
Hey, is that a different skill from acrobatics?
It is. So acrobatics is all about tumbling and dodging and stuff like that, whereas climbing is just climbing. So.
Sure.
Yeah, so it does take you a few minutes. Probably about 10 minutes to get to the top. And by the time you get there...
I go slow to stay with the doctor.
Okay.
I could just... But
yeah, that's true. You've got lightning speed, so you can get up there in no time at all. Are you going to arrive separately? Like, are you going to, like... KJ, are you going to get there and kind of go talk to him first, or are you both going to show up at the same time?
what do you want to do?
I think we should just... there's one thing I've learned about your pa. It's not a good idea to surprise him.
Fair enough, yeah. Pull the Band-Aid off quickly.
Yeah, I
All right.
won't say anything at first. You can introduce me.
Do you want me to introduce you?
Yeah, maybe that's for the best.
Okay.
All
Yep.
right. You get there, and so I have a question, actually, that's really super important. I should have asked this ages ago. KJ, you're the one who gave me the name The Drake for your dad's superhero alter ego. Is that based on, like, a male duck being called a drake, or is that based on, like, the mythical creature of a drake?
I fully stole it from Tim Drake when he called himself the Drake for like 5 issues, and then
Okay.
everyone got mad at him. So probably more bird than dragon.
Okay, perfect. That's kind of what that's the way I had taken it, so...
So my dad's probably Darkwing Duck. Yeah, now that I stop and think about it.
I was
have I
kind of
done?
gonna lean into that a little bit without going like full reference, but I'm glad you picked up on that.
Get dangerous.
I do imagine though that he's got like the he's kind of got the shadow. Is it the shadow that has like the the shadow has like the fedora and like the bandana across his face, like the high collared coat. So I kind of imagine that he very much is dressed like this sort of like noir detective / crime fighter from the 40s. And so when you get up to the top to the roof and you open the door, he is sort of like got one foot up on the concrete like ridge around the edge of the building, sort of Captain Morganing it, but he's got like one elbow leaning on his knee, and he's kind of like leaning over. The wind is of course like kind of kicking the coat up behind him, and the hat's pulled down low over his eyes, and he's kind of just like looking out over the city of Portland.
No one can see you being dramatic, right, Dad?
He says, "You can," and he kind of like stands up and like slowly turns around. He says, "Who's your friend?" He looks like he's kind of in defensive posture. Seeing a vaguely animalistic person when he knows Vorax is running around is going to probably put him on the defensive.
Okay, well, prepare yourself.
I'm always prepared.
Yeah, right. You remember Aunt Heather?
He kind of like his eyes like narrow, but that's all. That's the only response you get.
Not so dead. 50% more possum.
It's true, Eddie. It's me.
The facade kind of like slips for a second, and Heather? Well, how is this possible? What happened to you?
Let's just say I got on the wrong side of a corporation.
You let us think we were dead. Or you let us think that you were dead.
Believe me, at the time it was safer for everyone.
Nat and I know how to take care of ourselves. You could have come to us.
What about your kid?
Well, you can see he's grown up to make his own decisions, and...
Well, yeah. I wasn't expecting it to happen like this. But... guess what? I'm head of a union team now. I know neither you nor Nat are gonna think that highly of me for it, but believe me, I really didn't have a choice anymore.
He kind of like... He's quiet for a second, then his eyes narrow again. He says, "Did you convince him to join?"
I didn't have anything to do with it, I swear.
You know this has been my choice the entire time.
We'll deal with that conversation later. Right now, what's more important than being lied to by someone we considered a friend for over a decade is Vorax. Your father's fine, by the way. And that's kind of like...
Glad you'd be looking after him, Eddie.
You kind of like... There's a slight, like, kind of growl at that. And he kind of like... Then he kind of turns and looks at KJ, and it's very clear that he's like... That's the last he's going to say on that subject for the moment. And he's going to say... I need to know everything you've compiled on Vorax. Once you've given me that information, I can triangulate his position.
Now hold on,
yeah.
Will. Hold on.
I'll pull out my pad and here, my notes. This is what we got.
Before you going off half-cocked, just...
But you can't go into the city.
Those eyes narrow again. It's weird how the mask responds to his facial expressions. He says, Says,
Eddie, if you narrow your eyes anymore, you're just going to close them completely.
You've got to play Overwatch, Dad. You've got to trust us to handle this.
I'm supposed to trust the woman who's lied to me for 10 years.
Didn't lie, I just so much didn't come out of hiding. Look at me.
Mm-hmm.
Trust your son.
You think I'm gonna go walking about the streets in New York like this? Think I'm gonna go to my demented father and try and tell him that I got turned into a possum? Half possum? Whatever.
He says, he kind of like just breezes right by Dr. Scott's, I don't know if they're salient points, but points nonetheless. And says, in response to KJ's statement, he says, you're not ready to face Vorax. Just because you've signed on with the union doesn't mean it's time for you to join the big leagues.
Sure.
And he kind of holds out a hand and says, give me the information. I'll do what needs to be done.
Look, Dad.
You're making a mistake, Eddie.
He takes the information and like kind of turns and is getting ready to like basically hop off the edge of the building.
You've got to let me take point. You're gonna ruin my career.
That what you want?
He pauses and kind of like looks over his shoulder and says, is your career more important than keeping people safe?
If I need you, I will call you. If it comes to that point,
I'm gonna need a willpower action. Persuasion would be the skill in question, if you happen to have it.
No. Where is my character sheet? I haven't opened it yet. Alright. So willpower, we're gonna put this here 6 on it for 13.
Okay.
That's what I got.
I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I'm going to play a Doom card, but I'm gonna play it for the event, which is Remembrance of Home, and I'm gonna use that to cue a flashback scene for KJ.
Okay. I also want to use the event on my card too.
Refusal of authority. Ooh, that's good. Okay, you know what? Actually, I take that back. Yeah, I will allow that to be the extra little oomph you needed to make up that difference. Where's that Doom card? I put it back in the deck, and I want it back because I'm not actually spending it. There it is. Haha. Okay. Yeah. He stops, and like he's considering, and he's kind of like scanning the skyline of the city, and it's almost like you can see the thought bubbles where he's like, "Where are you? I know you're out there." Like kind of monologuing to himself about Vorax and everything like that. And then after a minute, he kind of straightens and he turns, and he says, "Fine, you've got 2 hours. But when you..."
This could take weeks. But sure, okay.
He says, "You have until morning then."
Right, well, look over my notes, tell me what you can tell me, and we'll go from there.
And when you see that the union's rules are getting in the way of you saving people, maybe then you'll understand why your mother and I don't approve of this choice you've made.
Rules are made to be bent.
You can go and draw your card back, by the way, that you drew. Or that you played.
I learned anything from Mom, it's bending rules. Hey, there, that would have been okay.
that card would have really helped a moment ago. He says, again, that facade kind of softens a little bit. And he says, your mother says hello, by the way. Heather, you know I have to tell Nat about this.
Yeah. Just tell her I'm sorry.
Tell her yourself. And he like jumps off the side of the building, kind of like plummets over the side before he takes flight. And all right, so you got me some cards there, and Spot got a 17. All right, so I will keep that in mind for if and when they start looking for Spot, if they feel like they're being followed. All right, so then that's taking care of that. The two of you are going to basically go for this Donnie Salazar guy.
I think that's the plan.
Okay. You're able to pull up some public records information on Donnie Salazar. So you've got a last known address for him that sort of kind of checks out with like the local police database for him. Donnie Salazar does have a bit of a rap sheet for some petty theft, petty burglary, things like that. But that was all a few years ago. He was still technically a minor at the time, so a lot of that stuff would be considered like sealed for the purposes of an official any future criminal proceedings. But you're still able to find that information out through the union database and everything. So,
okay.
So yeah, I mean, there's really nothing stopping you from getting there. So no actions necessary. However, you do have to consider the fact that Dr. Scott, at the very least, has the monstrous hindrance for when you show up at his door and you knock. So just keep that in mind. You get there. Do you go straight there, or is there anything you want to do beforehand?
Trying to think if there's something we can do to soften the blow.
A Halloween mask.
It'd be so weirdly warped with my muzzle and.
No, you just get a werewolf mask. Then your muzzle fits in perfectly.
I guess so. Yeah. Okay.
And the werewolf mask kind of fits in with like the furry body and everything like that. So.
Yeah, that's true. How close are we to Halloween in game?
I haven't really been keeping a specific timeline, so we can say that it's the current date. Sure, we'll say it's the month before Halloween, or the week before Halloween.
Excellent. Okay, I got a stupid idea, but it's better than nothing. Let's go through the tunnels, though. You ever been down there?
I don't believe I have, no.
I'll be your guide.
I typically fly when I need to go somewhere, so this will be a new adventure.
Oh, wait, you can fly? Wait, I ought to have read that in your file.
I
You
am
fly
not
with
the most
me?
dexterous flyer, but yes, I certainly could if you wish.
Okay, let's take the express route then.
So, are you planning on going to a Halloween store?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Why not?
How are you going to deal with the fact that you look like you in a now very public place?
Maybe I could send Venkman to steal a Halloween mask.
Yeah, that tracks. I can buy that. I need. Does the book have the stats for a raccoon? I don't think it does, but let's find out.
In the meantime, I sort of imagine the way Compiler's flight with a passenger works is it transmutes part of its outfit into like a jump seat so you can buckle in and just be straps to the front while it's... Because the flight comes from rockets on its feet, so it can't be comfortable to be carried that way, so...
Guess not. Maybe your like front opens up and a little fold-down seat comes out.
It's like
Yeah, there you go.
like a little flight attendant's jump seat on the airplane. Hilarious. We're gonna go with an agility of... I think basically the same as a cat. We'll go with an agility of 6.
Yeah. They have the thievery skill.
You know what? How sneaky are possums versus raccoons? I feel like possums are pretty sneaky critters. Like they're... Yeah, I'll say yes. I'll give it to him. So the question is, how difficult do you think in action this is going to be for him to steal this mask and get away with it?
I think even if it's really hard, it's worth doing for the lols.
Okay. Go ahead and give me an agility action for Venkman then.
Okay, I will throw out this bigotry card, which probably doesn't bode well because people are biased against random vermin sneaking into shops.
Especially possums. People think raccoons are cute, which they are, but then they get all worked up over possums, which are just as cute in my opinion.
Never understood that, to be honest.
Draw a card. It's just a strength card, unfortunately. But there we go.
All right. So 7 plus Venkman's 6 is a 13, plus 4 for the skill is a 17. I'm going to play a Doom card on this. I'm going to play a Doom card for the event, because I think, again, for the lulz, this will work. Venkman comes back with the mask. It is the correct mask. It will fit you fine. The problem is the event is accidental revelation. The revelation is going to be that Venkman has now realized that these stores are loaded down with Halloween candy, and is going to go back and get the entire posse. So your possum crew will not be available for the foreseeable future because they're going to go on a little bit of a heist. But it's fine. You were back at the lab anyways. You were off doing your own thing. I'm sure it'll be okay.
Hey, as long as they share, I don't mind. You bring enough back for the whole lab?
There's just a small mound of Halloween candy in the corner of the lab.
Oh boy.
That's gonna be a weird news report to have to fit into a future session.
Okay.
All right, go ahead and draw your card back, by the way, for that card play.
Oh, it's back to agility.
Oh, nice.
There, the last one?
Yeah, you traded up, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
Kind of like Compiler with that trading in that 1 of Doom for the 10 of Doom. That's if you're gonna have a Doom card, you might as well have that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotta
that's
have
fair.
Dr. Doom. God of Doom.
I mean, the 1 and the 10 are kind of the ones I want with that low edge of mine, so...
Mm-hmm. All right. So
I mean, it's not perfect, but hopefully I won't immediately freak this guy out. What do you think? Does it suit me? Did it suit me?
I feel it seems most fitting, but I don't really understand why it's necessary.
Look,
I mean, surely someone would be just as frightened of a werewolf arriving on their door.
yeah, but it looks more fake, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, it's
amazing what people will put up with on Halloween. You can go out, any sort of costume. That's why it's a hero's favorite time of year. You can go out and no one will bother you. Brilliant. Especially good if you look like me.
My
maybe a
primary
little bit
context
early,
for Halloween is that it is a good evening to poison the reservoir because everyone is busy.
Well, believe me, compiler, next week I'm gonna take you out on Halloween. You're gonna see just how much fun we can have.
Oh, goodness.
Oh. The poison in the reservoir comment was fantastic, by the way. I love the way you sneak in little like reminders that, oh yeah, by the way, you were programmed, or you were given the personality and memories of a supervillain at one point. Some of that's still kicking around in there, so.
Oh, naturally.
So you have your Halloween mask. Compiler Spot has been sort of surveilling, I suppose, blockade in this kind of general neighborhood. It seems like they are they've split into a couple different teams. Like Spot can, from its elevated position, can see a couple different teams of 3 that are kind of going to a couple different residences, sort of like knocking on doors looking for this person. It doesn't seem like they're at the point where they're kicking down doors, because I mean they aren't the police, so they can't really do that. But like they're very clearly making it known that like they're here, they mean business, type of. It stops just shy of being able to legitimately call it physical intimidation, but it's very like, you're gonna tell us what we want to know if you know what's good for you. About the time that you are approaching Donnie's place, Spot sort of relays to you that it looks like all the blockade teams have sort of like grouped up, and it looks like they know where this Lincoln Davis is, and they're going to that location next. So you might have a limited amount of time before they know where Donnie is, depending on how that goes for them. Yeah. So. But
understood.
It's a good thing you got Spot up there being your eye in the sky, otherwise you wouldn't know this at all, so.
Well, that's one way we can get Donnie's trust. It's to let him know about them. Right?
This is certainly a fair point, though we will have to be celeritas in our action.
Ooh, good word. How do you want to approach Donnie's place? It's he lives in an apartment building, so it's like probably second story, internal like apartment. The place it's a little bit run down. It's not the nicest apartment building, but you still basically have to wander around inside for a couple minutes to get to his apartment, or just I guess going through the window is an option.
That might freak him out a little bit, though.
Yeah,
maybe a little.
Giant
Why don't we?
Awesome person wearing a werewolf mask
union.
breaks through your window. It's in keeping with the season, though. It would.
It's true.
So yeah, what's the plan?
I think we should land on the roof and go down the stairs, and thus avoid attracting any attention on the street. Since
That
we're
makes
flying
sense
through
to
the
me.
sky, a giant robot and a possum in a werewolf mask.
I do have to ask, you said before this building was a little run down. I think we established in the first set of stories, compiler weighs like 800 pounds. Are the stairs going to be able to hold it?
Yeah, they're old, like, kind of concrete stairs, so.
Okay. Because falling through the roof would also be a bad first impression.
Set down.
Is it like a sort of proper brownstone Victorian apartment block, essentially?
No, it's much more modern than that. But at the very
Okay.
least, whoever built it like used like concrete foundation and everything like that. So all the emergency stairwells are made of concrete, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
But yeah, the door to the roof is like kind of propped open very clearly. Like people, if they want to come out here and take a smoke break or whatever on the roof, they just kind of leave it propped open for the residents. They don't expect people to be flying in, so. So yeah, you get access to the apartment building with no problems as a result. You go down the stairs, down the hall to Donnie's apartment. What do you do? Ring the bell, knock on the door.
Right. Am I correct in assuming that compiler is not usually the best when talking with random people?
There's kind of a weird thing with that, because theoretically, no, it shouldn't be, but mechanically, every time I've tried to talk to someone, it's always gone my way.
Okay. I mean, you can
It's-
talk if you want, like...
Honestly, it's probably because of the cute little emoji expressions and everything like that. It's very non-threatening.
Okay, like, so I guess as they're walking down the stairs, Dr. Scott's like, now, I don't know if you've talked to many. What am I saying? You got his brain. Of course you know how to talk to criminals. It's all in there. I
Well,
trust you.
Perhaps.
Besides, honestly, I think if I have to step in, then things have gone so badly wrong. Yeah. So...
I will certainly do my best, but be aware that my experience talking to criminals is generally talking down to them and calling them imbeciles and buffoons.
So you call Mom, and she answers in that way that she always answers when she's at work, and she just says, "What can I do for you?"
I'm looking into this person called the Theurge, or the Grand Theurge, or the Exalted Theurge, or something like that. And she'll actually say what it is from her notes. I can send a picture, but he's apparently someone with a lot of magic powers, and he's been around since at least the 1920s. Have you ever run into a name like that?
What exactly are you getting caught up in? Your Yaya always warned me away from anything to do with any of that mumbo jumbo. That's what she calls your grandmother, by the way, your grandma.
Okay. The meaning behind that name goes right over Amber's head, though. And so she'll say, I was at the university, and then there was, and she'll give a brief rundown of what happened at the university.
Okay.
Not touching as lightly as possible on the fact that that she was actually bleeding. She doesn't want her mom to get worried.
Okay.
And then, but then, sort of glossing over that, and then heading into the, and then, so we've got this meeting with this person.
She says, unfortunately, that's not really my division. I'll have to put in a formal request for like a release of information from the. Oh, they would probably have some ridiculous bureaucratic title for it. Paranormal entities and energies department. No, because that acronym is PED. I don't like that.
Let's put it this way. No matter what their official name is, everyone just calls it the X-Files.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, their official name is the Federal Bureau of Investigating Paranormal Occurrences.
Yeah.
FBIPO.
Yeah, probably something along those lines.
Because they would say, no, we're not making it PED, but also it has to be even more boring.
Yeah, exactly. It's just I'll have to put in a request for information. They're pretty territorial about this stuff, so I'll see what I can get for you.
Okay. If you want to, I guess since the union's official now, if you want to have it be under my, superhero name, then you can. That might help smooth things over, and I could talk with them directly.
We're going to have to fabricate an official meeting between the two of us and your superheroic guys before we can do that, sweetie. Otherwise, they're going to wonder why you're randomly contacting me, a non-public facing officer or agent, to submit a request for you.
Well, except we did already meet, remember, when the house got burgled by Chiral?
It's a bit flimsy.
Okay. Well, we can organize something else.
We'll figure something out. I'll have a friend submit their request for now, but...
Okay, thank you.
No problem, gotta go.
Bye.
In the background, you hear, BAM! Get on the ground! And then the phone hangs up. Just casual conversation with your family right before a SWAT raid,
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird government agent stuff.
Yeah. Well, as far as Amber's concerned, her mom, even with all the gunshots and things she's heard over the years, still convinced that her mom just works a desk job at some government agency that just happens to have access to untold information because mom knows everything. And that's the extent of what she knows about her job.
I haven't fully defined exactly what it is Amber's mom does yet, but it's definitely not a desk job.
Yeah. Whatever it is, don't tell me, because Amber is absolutely convinced that her dad is just a scientist who does science, and her mom works for the government, doing government.
Yeah, exactly. He just does science, she just does government. That's all it is.
I can see this conversation with, Amber at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. If anybody asks, remember, I just work for the government and I do government work. And I'm just a scientist, I do scientist work. And what happens? Amber just doesn't look any deeper into it over the years.
Never had a need to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, at this point, you're kind of waiting for the next night, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the city of Portland is inactive or isn't doing anything. So, hold on one second. There it is. Are the two of you coordinating at all that evening?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to the VU offices in order to kind of compare notes, or are you talking over the phone? How are you doing it? How are you doing this?
Ghost would go to the offices.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know we had offices yet. Amber would know, but I didn't know if we did or not.
Yes, it is a very boring kind of corporate building that is sort of off the beaten track. It's not downtown. Because,
it's safer that way.
Yeah, it's safer that way.
I would say that she's probably, she's keeping down her day job, so maybe we'd meet for lunch to plan, because, as far as Amber's concerned, how much is there to plan at this point?
Ghost has been working out of one of the side rooms because they've got three offices, one of which belongs to Deirdre.
No,
There's Deirdre's offices. There's
Yes.
2 spare offices that anybody can use that are kind of like private, small meeting rooms.
Yeah.
A large meeting room, and then they have a secure tank, right? Like this secure room that's kind of like solid cement around it. And that's where Ghost will be doing the magic. Because Ghost doesn't trust herself quite yet.
You don't want to blow anything up.
I don't want to blow anything up. If something does happen, it takes place in the cement container as opposed to somebody's house or apartment. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is all over your lunch break. Now here's a question. Here's a question for you, Amber. Would Amber have given the union permission to connect with her employer for, like, authorized absences?
As long as she was assured that it wouldn't interfere with her secret identity.
So it's the kind of thing where the company is legally liable for any privacy breaches, the same way they would be if they released your social security number or anything like that. So there's a legal safeguard in place, but that doesn't mean that somebody working HR there wouldn't be able to be like, I'm going to leak this to the press and I don't care about my job. So, I mean, there is always the risk.
I guess it comes down to how they phrased it. Because on one hand, Amber is incredibly protective of her secret identity. On the other hand, she will believe anything that the Vigilantes Union will tell her. So if they say it's going to protect your secret identity, no matter what, then she will believe that. If they say, well, there's some risk to it, she'll be like, probably not, I'll make up something. I've been able to fool them before.
Ghost would have said yes.
Okay, that's good to know. So basically, this is one of those things where you get a benefits consultant with the union that sits down with you after you've signed everything and kind of walks you through all the different benefit options that are available and choices you have to make and stuff like that. And the person that talked to you, Amber, he would have been like, it's 100% guaranteed safe. There's no chance that anything would happen like that. The union specializes in this kind of thing.
Okay. Then absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And Ghost did her research and had read the entire frickin' contract before she signed it. She would do the exact same thing here. She would still say yes, but she also knows that if somebody claims that she's Ghost, she's just like, you know I can't see without my glasses, right? I mean, and Ghost has glowing eyes. How the hell?
Yeah.
She's gonna... I'm sure the costume department wants to figure out how to do the same lenses that Ghost figured out for her eyeglass wear to turn them into contacts.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that to me is the best. That to me is the way to do it, is to get it to be contacts, because then her hazel eyes just don't glow. I don't know if that's available yet, but they're working on it.
Yeah, it's probably been submitted as a request. You'd have to meet with all kinds of eye doctors, optometrists, et cetera, to kind of figure out how to do it. It's a whole thing. So it hasn't happened yet. But so in that case, Amber, you actually are technically able to say, oh, I've got this thing I need to go do, so I'm not going to be in the morning, and there's very little questioning of it that gets done. Obviously, if you do it too much, your direct supervisor is going to be like, okay, what's going on? But they technically can't give you a hard time about it unless you really abuse it.
Right.
So if you wanted to say like I'm not going to be in like the latter half of the morning so I can go deal with this other stuff, you can do that and it won't interfere with your job.
Actually, she's going to just say that I'm going to do some more field work on the piece I was doing with Ghost, or, the investigative journalism with Ghost.
That's definitely going to make Eliza kind of give you some side eye, because Eliza has taken to like checking in with you every morning, like just kind of as a so what you been up to? What are you doing today? What's on your agenda? Like,
right. Well, you see, the thing is that it turns out that a lot of the superhero stuff you can't actually put in print. So I can't actually say that they met this incredibly reclusive person, and or even give stuff that would identify them, because that would put that person in danger. So even though I spent the whole day with them yesterday, I didn't actually get enough for a full article. And so I've got to go back and get more so I can, talk about it in more general terms.
oh yeah, of course you got to protect your sources. That's good journalism. Like,
Right.
I respect that.
And I think we've established that Eliza knows exactly who Amber is. So
Yeah, from the very beginning, Eliza was like, "Wait a second."
yeah.
The look
Never
she
saw
gave
that
Ghost, the look she gave Ghost
Mm-hmm.
when it was like, just take her with you. It's like,
Yeah.
Ghost's like, okay, so there's somebody who's protecting that secret identity already. Okay.
I will say Eliza is tickled pink to have a superhero like on the same journalistic team that she's on, because she's very much looking at this as this person is going to become an inside source for me sometime in the very near future. So yeah. All right. So yeah, the two of you have met up at the Vigilantes Union headquarters, and you're just kind of sitting down and starting to get into what your plan is, when there is an alarm that goes out, or that goes off, and this. So in the other story arc that's going on with KJ and Dr. Scott, it was a non-emergency alarm, sort of a like, hey, the Union members are needed, but it's not like an emergency, a crisis in progress. This alarm is very much a stuff is going down, you need to mobilize immediately type of alarm.
Okay.
And yeah, you like your phone goes off with a little alert. There's basically like it's a combination news app, police scanner like type of thing, that basically says supervillain activity in progress, Froststorm threatening. We'll call it the Commons. Civilians under threat, like crisis level like 3, which is still relatively low on the crisis scale. Arbitrarily, the crisis scale goes to 6 because these government things are always dumb. It's still like people are in imminent danger. He does veer away from Portland, so he goes kind of like parallel to the border of the Union territory rather than going into it.
Well, I guess he'll go read my note that he just stole, and he'll call us later. I don't.
10 years later, and your father's still got a stick up his ass.
He's not in the Union. He doesn't have the medical coverage to remove it.
Good thing
You
I
know
make
what?
coffee.
That could have gone worse.
I mean, he did agree to let us at least handle it briefly. I'm not going to immediately get fired.
That's
Well, I mean, until he gets back with something, I don't know what. I don't really have a. We don't have a lead unless Vorax pops his head up. I don't know where to go yet.
we just gotta work extra hard, don't we?
So, I am going to...
Damn it, Dan.
Yeah. So... It's one of the things I love about the fate system. So I decided to go draw a card just to see if that helps, gives me a little bit of a nudge in one direction or another from a narrative perspective. And the event I got actually does help me with this. So, KJ, you get a text on your on the number that you use for the detective agency. And it's from Morgana Fayette.
Okay.
Because I think she figured out who you were.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't think she has the direct contact info for you as KJ. I think she has your.
Yeah, I don't think I specifically gave her the email.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, she texts you and says, she says, "You're a couple of friends of yours were here earlier today asking me about something, and I helped them. I helped them to arrange a meeting with a person of interest, but I got the suspicious feeling that someone's watching me."
Should I come take a look?
There is no response.
All right. You ready to go back down the stairs? We got somewhere to be.
This is the problem with it being a union rather than some billionaire-backed international superhero team. Is you don't have jets of your own or helicopters or whatever. You still have to hoof it and drive normal cars.
Sedan. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The minivan of justice. Yeah. You do get a text a few minutes after you've kind of gotten down the stairs, where she says, "Sorry, I had to talk with hotel security. I'm really scared that something is going on." And she sends you the name of the hotel and the suite number that she's in.
Okay, good, because I was going to go to her house.
Her house is still under renovation after it was previously messed up.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Oh.
Okay. You get there. The front desk is. Do you go through the lobby?
Yeah, and I will not be in costume. And no, I'll be in costume. Yeah, we're open. We're official.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. This is fine. Okay. And then it'll be easier to get the possum in if I'm in costume.
So you pull up, and the valet that comes over to the car kind of does a double take at Dr. Scott sitting in the passenger seat, and then rushes around to the side and he opens the door and he says, "Hi, yes. So my manager told me you would be coming. It's free of charge. I'll take good care of it."
Great.
Then he takes
Nice
it
to get some real nice service for once.
By the time you get out of the car and to the front doors, the hotel manager is there. She says, it's always a pleasure to have the local union stop in. I do hope that Miss
I won't
Faye.
get fur on all your furniture.
Well, that's reassuring. Miss Fayette did tell me that there would be some that you would be dropping by, but I hope you don't mind. I hope as she's like leading into the elevator, she says, I hope it's not out of place, or I hope it's okay that I ask that you not conduct any fights or anything on the premises, if possible. We do have a lot of other guests to consider, after all.
Of course.
So I really hope it
I
doesn't
have
come
no
to that.
intention of starting a fight.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Miss
Lot of
Fayette
kids.
was very concerned. She asked for you by name, Mr. KJ. Is it Mr. KJ or just Mr. Justice?
Just KJ's fine.
KJ.
That all sounds so good.
And but in the meantime, we've had our hotel security like sort of keeping an eye on the door, the floor that she's on, that her suite is located on. And she like swipes her card and hits the buttons, and the elevator goes up. It's a fairly modern elevator, so it's quick, despite going up, many floors. And as the doors open, she kind of like holds it open and kind of gestures for the two of you to go in front of her.
Scott wanders in.
Yeah.
All right. So the hallway is essentially thrashed. There are large like claw marks like along the wall. There's a probably like a long like low like cushioned bench that has basically been like shattered and is laying in a heap on top of like one of the security guys. You can see like his arm and leg like underneath the debris. There are some scorch marks on the wall and everything like that. And the hotel manager, like she kind of panics and like she fumbles with like the radio on her belt, and she starts calling in like an emergency as she rushes over to the security guard to check on him. She sort of like forgets the two of you were there.
Okay. Yeah, then I speed to the door. I'd leave the doctor behind.
Okay. Yeah, so Dr. Scott, you're still standing at the elevator. KJ sort of like zips down the hall to the door of the suite, which has been basically ripped off of its hinges. Once again, poor Morgana Fayette appears to have been abducted. Her room is a mess.
Can Dr. Scott use her knowledge as a former doctor and medical skills to help the security guard?
Sure, that'll be an intellect action. With you do have the medicine skill, so yes.
Okay.
Now, don't forget, you can always play the 2 as an edge card because it's equal to or lower than your edge score. You can play that and then play another card on top of it if you want to get that extra little bit of bonus.
Okay,
but
play it that way. Okay, I'll do that. I'll use my edge. I'll get rid of that doom card for your benefit.
Yay! All right. Ooh.
Do I draw another for the skill? It's been a while.
So no, that's not an intellect card. That's a doom card, so you won't get another one on top of that. But that will give you a 2, a 6 is an 8, plus 9 for your intellect is 17, plus 4 for medicine is 21. Yeah, you are able to quickly kind of stabilize him, make sure he's okay. You find the other 2 security guards that were on the hallway, one of whom's bleeding kind of from a pretty nasty cut across his chest. You sort of staunch the bleeding and wrap him up. And the other guy is sort of like sort of catatonic in like panic. He's sort of like hunkered down between a couple of large potted plants that are sort of miraculously unscathed in the devastation. But you kind of manage to like calm him down so he's not like hyperventilating and things like that. So I mean, he's at least able to like answer some questions and things in theory.
Folks, okay, what the hell happened to you?
Go ahead and draw your 2 cards back when you're ready. The the guard that is kind of conscious says, a guy came up through the elevator, and we didn't know who he was. He didn't look like one of the guests that is supposed to be on this floor, so we didn't know how he got the key card. He says he just like turned into something and just barreled down the hallway. Like he threw Anderson across the room, and I thought he decapitated Jones. He's kind of like still a little bit shaken up, so it takes him a minute to collect his thoughts. KJ, what are you doing at this point?
Just standing at the doorway, like taking in the scene, trying to observe and see if I can't find the best place to post cog while listening to this conversation.
Yeah, so you're kind of standing in the doorway listening to the conversation, and there is, like, right at, like, eye level, there is a huge rend in the door jamb. Kind of looks like claws were used to kind of, like wedge into the door and, like throw it open. And you get the feeling that, like, that would actually not be a bad choice.
Good start, at least. Okay.
All right. So yeah, if you want to give me an intellect action for that post-cognition.
Are there cameras on this floor?
So there is a single camera that looks at the elevator. But this is one of those floors where they're like, for the discretion of our guests, we try not to pry into their privacy too much.
We're going to get a 14.
All right. I think that's more than sufficient, because I think the difficulty is based on how long ago it was. But let me just double check. 14. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, you touch the thing, and there is a little, like, hiccup back to... The devastation is still pretty much exactly the same, but the difference is Morgana Fayette is... she's laying on the ground, and she's kind of got, like... there's, like, bands of energy that have sort of, like, wrapped around her to, like, kind of... to bind her. And Mandrake is there in human form, and is speaking to a sort of iridescent, like, incorporeal figure that looks a lot like Theurge. Think kind of like the holographic communication that they have in, like, Star Wars. Mandrake says to Theurge, he says, the location she gave you, or the location you discerned was accurate. I don't know why she sent you the message to begin with, but she was still here, which means someone else is likely to meet you at the address she gave you. I would be ready for some sort of ambush if I were you.
Come on, Morgana, give me the address.
And Theurge says, noted. I'll be ready for them, whoever they are. You have what you need? And Mandrake says, yes, she will be a perfect candidate for accepting the spirit that I have prepared. The magic that has infused her bloodline makes her ideal for the ritual. And then that's it. It kind of cuts there.
You get anything, KJ?
It's Mandrake.
Yeah.
Mandrake kidnapped Morgana and is planning on infusing her with some kind of spirit.
Great. You know, who's this Morgana person? Wanted to see you. You met them before?
Yeah. She's a friend?
She's also a local expert on things of a magical nature, so potentially a good source of information for that kind of thing.
So-
If she wouldn't keep getting kidnapped by kidnapped by bad guys, yeah, you drew back. Good.
Well, let's just start with not doing that. You may have observed that all human beings don't really respond well to being called imbeciles and buffoons. And I
To
know
be
this
honest, I'm
because
not
I've
sure why
called
he does
quite a
that.
few.
It never worked.
Well, I know this because I've tried it quite a few times myself. Get that kind of scientist arrogance thing going on. But anyway.
Dr. Scott is an evil super genius. Confirmed.
Look, when you work with enough idiots, you sometimes get a bit mouthy.
That is true. I can confirm that in real life from personal experience. All right. So sounds like Compiler's taking the lead on this.
I mean, Compiler's got a will card, which I imagine might be important. And
Wow, metagaming.
I'm prepared
I see
to
how
trust
it is.
Compiler not to screw this up. Although
That's
I
fair,
don't know
that's
if
fair.
Compiler has as high a will as me, but I think Compiler's probably
No,
close
but
enough.
because of the monstrous hindrance, your willpower takes a serious hit.
Exactly, with dealing with a normie. So,
yeah, exactly.
like, yeah. And I don't think the Halloween mask is going to help. It's probably going to stop people from freaking out and glancing me on the streets, but it's certainly going to get me noticed. And yeah,
That is actually
So,
a good call. That was my plan. Was if you're just kind of standing in the back, it's going to be a why is this person wearing like a weird Halloween costume, like scientist werewolf? I mean, I guess, but whatever. But if you tried talking, like then you would have to take a willpower action, and it would be a whole thing. So,
So what I'm gonna tell Compiler is now when we go down, I'm gonna hang back. I mean, I'm kind of meant to be assessing all of you new sign-ups to the union, so I'm gonna pay attention to how you do this. I never seen you interacting with anyone except me and Deirdre before, so let's see how you handle this. I trust you. But
This is certainly fair.
if he gets nervous, maybe say, we've got his best interests in mind. We know people are looking for him, and we're here to get him out of here. And if he still looks a bit uncertain, maybe mention his friend or mention Coyote. He may have heard of Coyote. I don't know for certain, but he might have some links with him. Yeah. And if he knows him, well,
I don't believe I'm aware of this person, so I don't know that I should name drop them, but I appreciate the advice. It
just
feels
keep it in mind. I'm going to
perhaps
hang back
rude
now.
to-
I'm going to keep a watch out for anyone coming through the front, so I'll just watch from the stairwell window.
As you prefer. I will certainly do my best to ensure he is not terrified.
it's a good.
I mean, you
point.
got a kind of cute face going on there. Just keep it with the smiley emojis. Can you do the little one with the little pointy eyes, like the chevron eyes?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It just clicks right over the second you bring that up.
Yeah, that's the one. Aw, who could argue with that face?
All right, so Compiler, you approach the door. Go to knock.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay. Big, heavy metal fist hits the door. It sounds like, there's probably a certain amount of, like, someone's trying to kick my door in, but, after you knock a couple times, it becomes clear it's just someone with a really heavy knock. And a moment later, the door opens. There's a chain kind of holding it closed, mostly closed. And there's a kind of eyeball peeks through at you, and you hear a holy what? And the door closes. The chain kind of comes undone and opens, and he kind of looks at you a little bit like kind of bleary eyed, and he says, "Whoa, are you like one of those new pizza delivery drones?"
I have served as such in my time, but I am sorry to say that that is not why I am here today. Do you have a moment to discuss your recent, encounter?
Recent encounter. Are you like a robot missionary? Whoa.
I'm not sure I follow. I am indeed a robot, but... missionary?
Well, like, sometimes someone has, like, one of those moments where it's like, it's like spiritual. And so I thought maybe that's like, God reaching out to me, and then you showing up to talk to me about my recent experience. Like, maybe that's like some sort of a sign,
I cannot say that I have ever met a god, but I suppose my understanding is that I would not have, so...
Oh, well. Whatever. Cool. So why are you here?
I do not wish to panic you, but to be blunt, there is an entity in the neighborhood that we need information on that we believe you may have come into contact with. Further, I am here to
Mrs.
warn
Harris
you
down
that...
the hall. Yeah, she's weird, man.
Taking an internal note, checking up on Mrs. Harris's social media profile. Furthermore, I believe we may need to have this conversation elsewhere, as I believe our time here is limited. It's very likely that security force will come asking very similar questions soon, and I suspect you would not wish to be caught up in their net, so to speak.
He takes half a second to process that, and his eyes kind of go wide, and he kind of sobers up for a second. He's like, "Oh, they're looking. Oh, you're here about, like, wait, how did you? Wait, what? You know what? Yeah, let's give me a willpower action real quick, to convince
Alrighty.
him to cooperate, because you can see
Well,
like the slightly paranoid, slightly stoned, like, what's gonna win out here?
Yeah. Alright, well, let's see what we can do here. So, with a base of 7, I believe. Yes, 7. So... Oop, here we go again. So 10, that is 21 total.
All right. Go ahead and draw your card back, and he kind of like, yeah, like, he turns, like, kind of grabs a coat and, like, goes further into the apartment. You can hear some rummaging around. He comes back with like a plastic grocery bag with, like, very clearly, like, it's got some snacks and stuff in it. And he's like, yeah, let's go, man. Like, this place is kind of a bummer, anyways,
Are you comfortable with heights? I believe we may need to leave via the roof.
Oh yeah, man. Like, I climb all kinds of stuff. Like, there's actually there's a tag on, like, the 13th floor of a skyscraper downtown. It's got my initials on it. Heights are no problem for me, man.
Fantastic. Let us be off, and on the way I should introduce myself. My name is Compiler. I'm sorry, that's a shortened version. I'm not used to introducing myself with that.
Oh, that's cool. My name's Donnie, which is also a shortened version.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's like, yeah, you too,
Don,
man.
this is my associate, Dr. Scott.
Yeah, I imagine I'm waiting on the roof watching out for the blockade people.
Whoa, you're friends with a werewolf? Wow. That, like... I mean, robots and werewolves, I guess that makes sense. Like, you probably run in the same circles and stuff like that, you know?
More than you might expect.
Dr. Scott just kind of tilts her head in the werewolf mask to one side at this remarkably, like, unfazed guy.
He is very
You gonna
clearly
get outta here?
quite stoned.
You know, I got some of the good stuff back at the lab.
Oh, you've got the meth lab? Wait, so you're a robot and a werewolf that cook meth. But I don't mess with meth, man. Like, that's not really my thing. Like, weed is the way to go.
I'm sure I got something like that as well.
Well, I got the snacks. You got the weed.
I
Let's
don't
do
deal
it.
in anything as pedestrian as meth. I got more complicated production line on the go. You'll see.
We'll have to compare some notes. Yeah, he.
But I take it then that you wish to return to the lab, Doctor.
I think we better do that as soon as possible.
Very well.
I'll message ahead to get a visitor pass prepared for when we turn up. I imagine you need something like that to get into the facility.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's probably like a lobby or whatever that you could take so that people can go to and wait if they want to, like, you know, report something directly to the union or whatever. That hasn't happened yet, but that space exists. Anything past that probably has to, yeah, you have to get signed in. Okay, yeah. So he seems surprisingly chill about the whole thing. Like, you kind of strap him in, and he's like, whoa, this is awesome. By the time you land, he's a little bit more like, okay, actually starting to process what's happening here. A little bit stressed out. Not freaky, but just a little bit like on the jittery side.
It's okay. It's all cool.
It's like, yeah, cool, man, cool. It's cool. Everything's cool. This is cool. Yeah, cool. Yeah, okay. So once you kind of land him at the thing, you get him like signed in as a visitor. Like, he clearly is starting to kind of catch on. He's like, oh man, oh, you're with the union. I thought they said something about like a robot and like some weird animal lady like being part of like the local union or something like that. Okay, that makes way more sense.
Okay, well, I guess I don't need this mask then.
Ah! He's like, okay, I mean, like, look, you should warn someone because, like, there's a difference between, like, understanding an animal lady and then, like, seeing one right there. Like, it's a weird uncanny valley thing. Like, the mask kind of, like, I guess, interrupted that weird response in my brain, but anyways, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you should try having to look in a mirror every day and seeing this face.
Harsh.
Dr. Scott glowers, but says nothing.
Where are you
I'm
taking him
not
to?
sure
Oh, sorry.
I understand the confusion. It seems a perfectly reasonable face.
Well, thank you, compiler. That's why you're my favorite. Kind of just... There's nothing really to pinch, but she makes the gesture anyway as if pinching your non-existent cheek.
The posse is conspicuously absent in the lab. It is eerily quiet.
Huh. That's weird. Dolly? Edie? Petra? Celine? Washington? Bankman? Okay, now I'm really worried.
Donnie kind of he plunks down in a chair and like kicks his feet up on the table. He's like, well, look. So now that I'm a little bit more with it, run this by me again. You thought there's some people after me?
Yes. Well, not to alarm you, but recently you posted a video referring to an entity that tried to take over your life. That specific entity is, well, frankly, loose in the wind, and it is imperative that we locate it before Blockade Securities does. We believe Blockade likely knows your identity by now, and was thus coming to have a probably less pleasant chat with you than we would.
Damn.
While,
Wow, that sucks.
While Compiler is talking directly to Donnie, I think Dr. Scott is going to be casually observing him, maybe goes to a drawer, pulls out a bag of quality chronic and puts it down in front of him to kind of keep his attention, then maybe goes to get a small genetic sampler and
Okay.
and just gives him a short, sharp prick when he's least expecting it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you put some stuff down. He rolls himself a joint, and he takes a couple puffs before you jab him, but he's like whoa.
Sorry, it's standard procedure.
It's like yeah, that makes sense. It doesn't at all actually, but in his current mind, it does. And he says yeah. It's like, man, how'd you? All right, look. This is all like attorney-client privilege stuff, right? So like you can't like report this to the police. So, FYI, that is not the way it works in the slightest. But he's he's not entirely with it. So he's just gonna go with that. He says, so
Got it.
I've been casing this guy for a bit. He's got a little bit of money, dresses nice, drives a nice car, all this stuff. He caught my attention when I was, wandering around downtown, kind of doing my thing. And
Have a kind of Middle Eastern sort of look about him.
yeah, like I think his last name was like Amaris or something like that.
Dana Maris.
It's like, yeah,
That's
that's
right.
him. That's him. So I was casing the joint, like, I overheard that he was planning to take a little trip back home. He was, he dropped some stuff off at the cleaners. He said he wasn't going to be gone for like a week or two because he was going on a trip. Figured it was a great time to go check out his apartment. I waited a couple of days, decided to go in, see if he had any, valuables, as you do. And like he was there, but like two of them were there. And I don't smoke whenever I'm going to go and I'm going to like, do a job. That's just sloppy. So the fact that there were two of him was weird. The fact that one of them was tied up was even weirder. I thought there was some like, something. I don't judge, but something freaky going on. But but no, like the one that wasn't tied up, like basically chased me. I thought I managed to give him the slip, but then he caught up with me as I was going into my apartment, and he sort of like like bull rushed me into the apartment, and yeah, like I woke up and this guy like looked like me, and he was kind of going through like my phones and stuff like that, looking for I don't know what, but yeah, it was weird. Like, again, I hadn't been smoking, so the fact that this guy looked like me wasn't a hallucination. This guy looked like me.
So what? Did he just leave, or did you get out of there? 'Cause the way we've heard it, he's been keeping people hostage for quite a while.
Well, that's just it. It was a couple of days, but, you know, obviously I can't go reporting nothing, but I thought I'd get the word out there, so I posted a video, let people know to keep an eye out for this kind of thing. But, so, look, I'm going to drop a name here, okay? And I got to make sure this doesn't get back to me.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Don't worry, I'm no rat. I'm a possum.
Totally different rodents. He says, so, a couple of guys came by with accompanied by a woman. There's a lady who, you know, she's kind of involved in some stuff. She's got some pull, and as a result, you know, got to be a little bit careful. Her name's Susan Taylor. She used to be like a soccer mom type thing, but then, I don't know, I guess she broke bad or something. But anyways, they came, they untied me, they told me to keep my mouth shut. And I have, you know, like mostly. Like, I made the video. I told my buddy Lynn, you know, because I was high, maybe not the smartest thing to do, but, you know, I haven't said anything else about it to anybody. So, if this gets out, she's gonna know I'm the one who talked. Because I didn't tell Lynn anything about Taylor. Like, he doesn't know she was involved at all.
You never seen this Taylor before? This Susan Taylor?
Yeah, of course I seen her and everything like that, but she's like, you know, that would be like, I don't know, that'd be like a YouTuber suddenly catching Rihanna's attention or something like that, you know? Like, there's some degrees of separation, if you know what I'm saying.
Sure. You in the same business?
I mean, like, you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but, you know, some of the guys I fence stuff to work with or for Taylor. So,
Okay. Send a quick sly message to compiler, suggesting it gets online and maybe checks out this, see if they can find any reference to the Susan Taylor person, particularly in conjunction with Hart.
Sounds good.
Well,
Before
don't worry
we
about
move
it.
too far away from it. Sorry. But before the conversation goes too far, you mentioned before that the other you was going through your phone and your computer. Do you know what information it accessed?
I mean, I got a couple phones, you know. I got a couple phones for people that I do my buying and selling from or with, and then I've got a phone for people that, like, if I need to move some stuff that I picked up hot, you know, I've got a phone for those people. You got to keep those, you know, revenue streams separate. You know, it's you don't want to cross those streams.
You leave those phones in your apartment, or you bring them with you?
Oh no, the other me took them.
Just took everything.
Oh,
Yeah. Yep.
that's actually incredibly helpful. Do you know the phone numbers?
Yeah, I tried the whole Find My Phone thing, but I think the chips must have been taken out or something.
Well, don't write off Compy just yet. He's better than your average find a phone, whatever.
Yeah, he gives you the phone numbers.
If nothing else. Much appreciated. Yes, that worst case scenario, I can certainly triangulate the last tower they pinged from. That should give us a general idea of where to look.
Yeah. So you know who this guy is?
We're working on it. Probably better if you know as
That's
little
rather
as
the
possible.
problem.
Yeah. Plausible deniability. That's good. That's good.
But I think we're gonna need you to stay here for a little bit. You all right with hanging out here? Just to keep you safe. That way, if we see you wandering about anywhere else, we'll know it's not you.
Yeah. That makes sense. And yeah, this place looks pretty cool. You know. Why is there a
touch
lock on
Has
the
the
anything
added
fridge?
benefit of keeping you off of Blockade's radar for the moment.
Yeah.
It says, "Oh yeah, that's actually a good call." Like I've read articles about those guys, man. That's why I voted for the Union, because those blockade guys, like, they seem like they're jackboots. So
Thank you for your vote. Because, yeah, they smashed up my old place.
yeah, that doesn't surprise me. They don't seem like the type to appreciate knowledgeable expert in the arts. He kind of flicks the joint a little when he says that.
Well, you can help yourself to anything in that fridge. Don't touch the other fridge. And don't leave any fridge unlocked in here. You'll find out later why. And you can help yourself to anything in that drawer, but don't mess with any of the equipment. You got it?
He's like, yeah. That fridge, green light. That drawer, green light. Everything else, red light.
You got it.
Oh, what's the combination to the fridge?